What is up, YouTube? Special project that we're doing today. So by the time you watch this, it'll be not even 24 hours after I got married. So this video gets released on a Sunday, and the day before this one is released, I got married. So a little backstory to what this means. Hey Pam, dude, whatever, want to marry me? Me and my now wife are huge fans of The Office. So Rise and Shine Donuts is a place here in Lubbock where we frequently get donuts from sometimes on Sundays. And I thought it would be funny if I took her engagement ring and put it in a box of donuts, so when she opened it, she saw that message, and that is in direct reference to The Office. So I wanted to preserve something from our initial engagement and decided to frame and put this in epoxy so that we'll always have it in the house, and it's something that we can remember from the time we were engaged. So we got engaged in January of 2020, and obviously it's now October, and we're now married. So I took the box, took some epoxy, and I'm essentially going to just build my own frame and then just seal everything up in epoxy. So I cut down the box, trying to make everything nice, even, and flush. And I apologize for the camera work on this particular project. I tried to do it from some different angles because I've been doing bowls mostly on the channel, and it didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted to, but you get the general idea. So in the beginning, I had those boards that I was using. This was actually a piece that I had left over from a previous project. So here I am just lining everything up, and I realized I've never built a picture frame before, and I'm essentially just needing something to keep the epoxy in line. So it's nothing too complicated. I initially was going to cheat and go to Hobby Lobby and get a pre-made frame and then just pour epoxy, but I really thought ahead of this, and I was like, you know what, I really just want to make something from hand. So in the future, I can say that I made everything 100% by hand other than cutting down the tree myself. So over here, got everything measured the way I wanted to, took the jigsaw, and now I'm trying to make a straight edge right after drinking a shit ton of Red Bull. And it came out a little wonky, and you can tell right there it's not exactly a straight cut, but it's relative to the way I wanted it, so it wasn't a complete loss. So there's a nice picture of my back. Obviously not the best camera angle for this. So here I am again, just getting everything lined up, and I had these like just random pieces of I think this is red oak that I picked up from Home Depot. Again, this is all just scrap kind of wood that I had laying around. I actually didn't even use any of that wood that you saw in the beginning of the video. So here we are, just getting everything nice and lined up, and I'm super worried because I'm trying to get exact measurements on this because I realized I only have one shot at putting this together, and I was really nervous that if I didn't get everything exactly the way I wanted it to, that it was just going to be this wonky, weird looking, picture frame. So took out my JB Weld. Love this stuff. I used to do a lot of like wood glue for a lot of these projects, but I was kind of in a hurry, and my mindset was, you know what, if you use epoxy to seal it and to build the actual frame, it'll get a better seal. And again, I made a complete mess using the epoxy. So here I am just building the four corners of the actual picture frame itself. And as you can see here, this is what it looked like afterwards, and there is epoxy literally everywhere. So at this point, I'm going, oh my God, this looks like absolute garbage. But in typical salty Texas fashion, we just keep on going and mowing through. So everything's nice, lined up, even. I've got plenty of epoxy in there to make a nice generalized seal, and I'm just using these clamps just to tie everything down and make sure everything is nice, flush, and even. And here I am running my finger through the epoxy, trying to slather it in there so I make sure that it holds together for a long time. So once everything is dried up, you can see how just nasty this frame looks. And at this point, I'm not discouraged, but I'm kind of the mindset of this looks kind of really bad. So I was having second thoughts initially about even doing this and wanting to start over, but the proof of concept was there. So all I had to really do was take the sander, used I believe 120 grit for this, and just sanded down all that epoxy, and it came off, making everything nice and smooth, getting all the edges, taken care of, just making sure everything is nice and flush. Because, once you sand it down, it's like any other project that you do. Once that top layer of epoxy comes off, everything typically ends up being pretty good. So that's what we ended up doing, just sanding a little bit of the back over here, getting everything nice and even. And by this time, everything is looking really good. Now, this is the part that really had me nervous. I had used epoxy before in the past, but I've never preserved or dipped actual paper in epoxy, and this JB Weld is this quick 15-minute epoxy, so I didn't know exactly how the paper would hold up in this particular project, but I was like, okay, let's go ahead and risk it. So everything's nice and lined up in the frame, and everything's stuck together real well. And here I am now pouring the East Coast resin on the top layer of the piece of paper once everything had dried up initially. And I believe I used about 8 ounces of resin. I don't even think that's right, actually. And here we are popping bubbles with the heat gun. I literally haven't built a table in, I think, 9 to 10 months. So I remember how much we had to just pop these little bitty bubbles. And here is a little further down. Resin had time to dry, and everything turned out really good. You had that nice glossy finish. There are a little bit of bubbles that are in it, but the resin set up really nice. You can see through it. It's got that clear crystal look to it, and everything is nice preserved in that resin, and I'm really happy up until this point. And I wanted to do a little bit of decoration to it, so I have this this heat stamp that I got at Hobby Lobby, not sponsored by the way, and I decided to put mine and my now wife's initials, or our first initial of our names, on the top of the frame. So she got the top half of the frame for her, and then I'll take the S here in a little bit and do the bottom portion of it. So I thought this added a nice accent piece to it, because the frame itself is kind of boring. So, I've never used a heat stamp before, but I think overall at the end, as you'll see here a bit, once I put the wood wax on it, it looks really, really good. So overall, project went really well. I think this, set up really, really nice. I was really happy the way it turned out. Something nice and preserved in resin that, I can hang on as a memento for the rest of my life. And it's 100% handmade, hand-built by me. And here's, everything after I had heat stamped everything, and now we're just putting that wood wax on it, getting that real nice shine in that in those red oak beams, and it looks really, really good. Once I hit it with that, you can just, from the beginning of the video to now, you can tell how much cooler it looks, and it looks absolutely fantastic once I hit it with that wood wax and really got the grain to come out. And those heat stamped letters, I think, look really good, and just the randomness of it just gives it a little bit more character. So really, really happy the way this turned out. And me and Pam are now married, and here we are putting it on the wall so that everybody can see it, and it looks really, really good. I'm really, really happy. So I'm now married. Hope you guys enjoyed the project. Don't forget to subscribe. Something a little bit different on the channel. Right now, as you're watching this, I'm on my honeymoon and just enjoying, marriage. So hope you guys are having a good one out there, and I'll see you guys in the next project. Peace.